Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Out of Bounds on a Sunday. Finally on a Sunday, and
Hurrah
the
for
final
us.
siren has gone. We're live on Facebook, as you can. I don't know whether you can see. There's a little comment down there from Austin Freak Bobot. Okay, the Patrick Cripps fall off is real. Thank you, Austin. For hey, someone's here. This is great. So Out of Bounds on a Sunday. As always, brought to you by the Front and Center Podcast, your home of beer betting, ball sports, and bands since 2023. Novak, how you going?
Yeah, look, big game just then. Big few games, big ups and downs. Not great week for the Pyramid, bar me, but hey, that happens sometimes. It was an interesting week. A lot of ups, a lot of game results that didn't quite go the way we thought they went. A couple of games went perfectly to script as well, but yeah, look, bit to talk about.
Yep, absolutely. There's a lot to talk about. We will skip over the Pyramid because we didn't. You were the only one that won, right? What did you say that horse got just cooked? That other horse,
it just went
Melbourne
busted, went absolutely busted, and that happens sometimes. But if we were alive going into that last game, I think the Eagles line was plus 33.5 and they lost by 34. So it would have been absolute diabolical scenes if we were alive going into
really
that. But
hurt. Yeah, that really would have hurt. And I got to watch some State 18s today, which was good. We'll talk about that on Thursday.
Well, I don't think it was not a good watch for us by the sounds of it.
No. Not if you're supporting WA, but hey, still, if you support young players coming into the AFL, there's a lot that we need to talk about on Thursday. But let's get straight into the action of the round. And unfortunately, we have to talk about this. The Bulldogs absolutely pants the Saints by 72 points on Thursday night. Geez, I don't really want to talk about this. Rowe Marshall did okay, but for the Dogs, so Libba's not playing on the halfback or back pocket anymore, apparently. I don't know what's going on with Libba, but
they move the magnets around fairly regularly at Bulldog land. But
pay the man, pay Nazar. Just pay Nazar because we need him. Because if he goes, we're going to lose by 172. So
I think all it'll mean is that just Sinclair will just have to take that role, and he's not quite the same player as Wanganeen Miller. He doesn't have the leg speed and line breaking, explosive power in the running game that Wanganeen Miller has. But hey, look, I think you've got bigger issues because Max King had another setback with his knee again. Yeah, that came out today. He's had another setback, so I don't know where he's at. But I think the Dogs midfield just stood up. Like you can look at the possession getters. 29 Kennedy, 29 Libba, 28 Treloar, 27 for Bailey Williams, and 25 Ed Richards. A quieter night for Bontempelli. Windhager did quite a good job on him, but under the dome, the man that they really have to put pressure on is Bailey Dale, and he racked it up again with 36 touches. So, look, and I think the big tick for the Dogs was Sam Darcy back into the side. Obviously, 3 goals, 2, 19 disposals. Really great to have him back in the side. That's probably what they've been missing a bit recently. And obviously Norton kicked some goals as well. Did not get many touches, but hey, he kicked some goals. So I think the key for the Dogs is obviously they need to start to bank a few wins to get themselves into the 8. Looking at the 8, things quite didn't go their way this week with obviously Fremantle and the Giants and Hawthorn all winning. Keeping them a game out, even though they do have a game in hand on the Giants and the Crows. But the Dogs, as we said, until they get their players back, they've got to bank these wins, and they're in striking distance of the 8. But looking at it like who drops out, who drops out, really, like when you look at that?
Well, when we get to the GWS game, like you wouldn't think they're going to drop out, but yeah, it's very interesting. At least they're getting their percentage up there, unlike like Port Adelaide are just outside the 8 now, 2 games behind. We'll get to that, but their percentage is no good. Essendon's percentage is no good. So at least the Dogs' percentage is up there. And
it's huge.
Teams can't lose now. It's what the AFL's got what they wanted here. They've got it's every game matters now, and teams you can't afford to rest any players. But as I said, I don't really want to talk about this game. Sam Darcy back, great. As soon as he came in, I was like, we're cooked. But you mentioned him just before. Again, Matt Kennedy just doing Matt Kennedy things that I think was a great pickup. But we'll get to another guy in Geelong who definitely was a great pickup as well. So the top 2 doing the things that they need to do.
And the big issue for Saints is obviously, again, like another team we'll talk about later, Melbourne, is kicking scores, like 8 goals, 12, not great. Like they got smashed for inside 50s. They got smashed in the, well, I didn't get smashed in the clearances, but the clearances went the dog's way. And look, I think for the Saints, you've got to decide what you want to do. Like, is TDK going to be the answer? No, we both don't think so. So, yeah, you kind of need some help kicking scores. And if Max King is not going to be there, you need someone to help down there big time.
For sure. Just a quick one on this game, because there's one little thing that happened, and it happened early, and Matt Kennedy kind of threw his head down to, I guess, get a free kick. Do you think we should start penalising players for staging those kind of free kicks? Like, he got tackled, he went to the ground, his head did get, but it was definitely an over exaggeration for his head to go to the ground to draw the free kick. Do you think players should start?
I don't think you pay free kicks for that, but the umpires have just got to be good enough to not get sucked in.
Yeah, fair. So staging free kicks should never be in the game. Do you just not a fan of staging? No. Anyway,
no.
I need you to talk me through this game, because I thought this game was going to be a blockbuster on Friday night, and I was at my 20-year reunion and I kept looking up going, it must be like the second quarter or something. But no, low scoring affair. 47-44. Your boys got the job done. 2 points in the first quarter from your guys. A whole 11 goals kicked for the whole game. Was it wet? Was it dewy? What's going on?
4 degrees it was, Scott, when they were playing. Okay. So I don't think that helped things. But I think the distressing thing for Adelaide, it's the second week in a row they've really sort of slowed down in the second half of games. Like, Brisbane came flying at them last start. They kicked 1 goal, 7 in the second half. And you're generally not going to win too many games of football kicking 1 goal, 7 in a half of football. They were all over us early. They were the much better team in the first half. They did not take their opportunity. Sam Mitchell sort of changed the game plan a little bit, and it sort of got us back into the game. But, there's a few people that I said needed to lift because they haven't been playing that great. One was James Sicily. The other was Dylan Moore. And Dylan Moore was just about best on for us. His tackle pressure was fantastic. His run and carry was really, really good. And Jarman Impey as well. When the game was on the line behind the ball, he was massive. He put in 2 really big contests to halve them and get the ball back to us. And his run and carry from the back line was really, really great. The forward line still has a bit to be desired. Jack Gunson was the solo man doing everything down there. He could have kicked like 7 or 8 goals. He got 2 goals, 3. But he didn't take his full opportunities. But he was basically it down there. Chol was providing his normal contest. But apart from that, like, Connor McDonald ran onto a couple. But for the rest of the Mosquito fleet down there wasn't much really happening. The Wizard didn't really do much. Ramson didn't do much. Ginnivan was okay, but he didn't get much of it either. So that's obviously a concern for us. We were just lucky that 5 goals, 14 is not great kicking. And, they didn't take their advantage. Like, Ben Keys kicked 2 goals. Rankin got a goal. Dan Curtin coming, 3-headed monster, 3 points to Tilthorpe, 3 points to Walker. And your boy D-Fog is nowhere. He is
last few weeks, he has been nowhere.
Yeah, not in form at all. And so you're basically getting 3-headed monster, 7 behinds from the 3-headed monster. So, it's basically the same situation as the Jackson-Darcy ruck combination. It's like, when it goes great, it's awesome, it's unique, it's massive. When it's not, well, they got to look at it. Something's got to give down there. So, look, the 3-headed monster, not a great night for them. But I think Ben Keys is having a really good year this year. He was fantastic. Dan Curtin is continuing to improve as a player for Adelaide. But they butchered that game. They had so many chances to win. We stole that one, in my opinion. Good win for us to have where we are on the ladder, considering where we were tracking. But we still have a long way to go. Looking at the VFL, Sam Frost has now become a forward, and he kicked 3 goals in the VFL on the weekend. So he is probably next in line to come in. No Kalshadir at the moment. Jasper Scaife probably not quite up for VFL, so I don't know where our goals are going to come from if our Mosquito fleet do not get involved. But Connor McDonald He's had a few injuries this year, 2 goals, 14 touches, 8 tackles. That's a good game from him. That's what we need from him. We got beat on the inside 50s. We got beat by the clearances. So we were really lucky to win that game.
Yeah. Well, some comments are kind of with you here. Our man Austin, who's still here. Thanks for staying for a whole 10 minutes. Wizard week in, week out, cast a spell on himself to disappear. And Zave's just gone hard on your boys and just said Hawks are shit. They're not making the 8. And he said Saints have a better future than Hawthorn. I think Zave's had a few beers.
We're currently 5th on the ladder, so I think we're going okay. But look, as I said, we're pretty much where I said we're at since whenever we started talking about football. We're bottom half of the 8. It's where we're at. We're a year or 2 away. We need a Mick Curnow or a Butters type player to take us to the next level, because clearances are becoming an issue if Peel Thunder Lloyd Meek is not completely dominating. And he was pretty good again on the weekend. But look, bank it. Sometimes you got to win crap, and we got it done. So you take it.
Take it. A win's a win. Zave also said he's happy to play full forward for Hawthorn if they need him. He clearly had a couple of hits.
Well, he did kick 4 yesterday. He is basically keeping.
Oh, there you go.
He's keeping my spot warm for me for when I come back. But between him and Duckworth, they need to get out of my area, please. By the time I'm back, I'm the one kicking bags, not you boys. Yeah, he's been playing forward now, so. It's all the old slow men and Raz who can run very fast. So that's where we play now. That's where old men go to pass his forward pocket. But no, it's good to see. Tough loss for us. We're up by 17 points 3/4 time, and we ended up losing by 22. So, not great.
Let's move on to the Friday morning game. And this is the game where you did mention that they had a very good record at the Gabba. I still couldn't see them winning, but Brisbane went down to GWS by 11 points, and it was the forwards, the big boys down at GWS getting the job done. It's 5
It
goals
was the big boys everywhere.
Hogan, and
5 goals, 1 for Logan Morris and 3 goals for Callum Brown. So big boys everywhere. The issue that they have with Brisbane is Jackson Payne went down with a patella tendon, so he is out for the season. And they had to swing Eric Hipwood into the back line, which didn't really help them. No. And obviously, the Giants were without Toby Green as well. But you're right. Hogan 6-1, Cadman 5-1, and Brown 3.
That's good.
That's kicking. 14 goals from their 3 sort of main forwards up there. It's ridiculous. I think Finn Callahan actually got injured right at the end of the game as well, which is not good for them. But Whitfield, Callahan, Ash, heaps of possessions there. If you're the Brisbane Lions, they had players down like the Wizards really put something on Washcroft. He's been down on form a bit lately. Cam Rayner, 20 touches, 1 goal. Jared Berry, 20. They're a little bit down. Dunkley, 19 and a goal. So Dunkley's playing more forward at the moment. I thought a young player for Giants, Harry Ralston, showed a bit for them. Came in one of his first games, 18 touches for him. He looked actually really good. But if you're Brisbane, they're getting to stages, they've got a few players that they're missing, but their small forwards just have to be better. Like Charlie Cameron, 2 kicks, Kai Lohman, 5 kicks. And where is the other one? Archie was actually okay. He had 11 kicks, but they're not getting it done for them. Last year, that's what was propelling them. Lohman, Archie, all those small forwards are really dominating for Brisbane. And look, they're just coming back to the pack a bit. They're still obviously 3rd on the ladder. It's not really panic stations, but I think there is a fair gap between the top 2 sides in the competition and everyone else. And I think Brisbane need to improve. So, look, injuries are going to cause issues. That obviously no Danaher, obviously now no Payne. They're 2 big guards that have some big holes in their sides. But if you're the Giants, that's a really good win. That's a game they had to win. If they lost that, they would have been out of the 8. They would have dropped to 9th, and the Bulldogs would have overtaken them. So they need to keep winning. They need to bank some wins to continue their momentum. And you look, they've got Gold Coast at NG Stadium next week, so that is another must-win game for them because they're right next to each other on the ladder. And on current form, you'd have to say they'd go pretty close to that as well. But they lost to Freo at NG, so it's very, very, very compact ladder there. But look, if you're the Giants, you take that as a huge win for what you needed to do to get the job done.
100%. I think I think you just mentioned it. The inside 50s, 55 to 53. So they actually had less inside 50s. And when you kick in like that, 17 goals, 5, pretty bloody good. You're not going to lose many games in that. Their forward pressure's good as well. Tackles 42 to 28. So the pressure around the ground was on. And with you've got a midfield like that, you're playing a gun midfield like Brisbane. That's kind of what you need to bring. I think a massive thing as well for them is Cadman. Not only did he kick 5 goals, he got 19 touches as well. So he's really moving up the ground, and they might have now finally figured out the Cadman-Hogan situation, and Cadman's more that up running forward, and Hogan's the more stay-at-home forward. I'm not sure, but it seems that way. So getting the kids some confidence.
Yeah, they've got Jake Riccardi as well, who can lead up to the ball as well. So he's come back in too. But when you have 9 more scoring shots, you'd think you'd probably get the win. Instead, you lose by 2 goals. Again, a lot of teams bad kicking, bad football, but Brisbane have been shocking with their goal kicking lately, and that is costly.
Yep, 100%. Speaking of costly and shocking, this shocked no one, I don't think. The Bombers got absolutely pantsed by the Cats by 95 points at the MCG. Bailey Smith and Max Home, as you call them.
Dash Bros dominating. Look, that's mental when you think about it. You look like 41 and 36, 77 touches between them is insane. Absolutely insane. And then, the goal. Yeah, their role players played really well, like Graham Myers, 25 and a goal. Stewart's come back into form. Mark O'Connor's playing good footy as well. I didn't see too much of this game. Like, obviously, the big dogs got the job done. 6 goals, 1 to Cameron, 4 goals, 1 to Neil. You mentioned it on Thursday.
Yeah.
There's no matchup. There was only one matchup with Laverde down there, and it was really, really grim. Obviously, spread of goal kickers everywhere. But, for the Bombers, Will Setterfield had a really good game, 31 touches, 10 tackles. Jai Caldwell, 28. Zach Johnson, 29 touches. So a young kid that's showing a bit as well, which was a highlight for them. But, look, Bombers, not good. The only concern for Geelong is Sam De Koning's done his AC. So I think he's going to miss some time. But we know they have a cast of thousands who can come back into that side. So, look, I've been big on them the whole year. I'm still big on them. I still think they're winning. I still think they're better than everyone. And adding the Dash Bro, Bailey Smith, into that side makes them a scary, scary proposition.
Our man Austin's with you as well. He's gone Pies versus Geelong. Will be a good granny this year if it gets there. Not only did they have 41 and 36, they had 16 score involvements. So 9 score involvements to Bailey Smith and 7 score involvements to Max Holmes. So that alone, how many goals did they kick? Sorry,
23.
23 goals and 16 score involvements from 2 blokes. So
39 scoring shots to 16. 39 scoring shots to 16. I did speak to Duck after the game. He goes, how much did we lose by 100 points? And I went, pretty close. 95. So he wasn't far.
So he would have been happy. He would have been happy then that they didn't lose by 100.
Yeah, look, I don't think he's a well-grounded, aware of where his team is at. So I think like most Bombers supporters are at the moment.
So where to now for the Bombers? They're playing these kids. Are they? I mean, they're a team that we discuss this nearly every week. That are they where they should be, or do you think their ladder position right now flatters them a bit more than it should?
Well, I think there's just a lot of teams that are very average, and when you look at Melbourne, St Kilda, Sydney, and Essendon, and Port, all in that middle chunk, like. They all have the potential to play better footy, but they're not. They're not showing consistent football. So we'll get to Melbourne, obviously, today, but the Swans have been going terrible.
Yeah.
And Essendon have got more wins than them, but their percentage is grim. The only teams with worse percentage than Essendon are Richmond and West Coast. So that is not good.
No, that's not good at all. Shout out to Archer May as well. Congratulations on debut too. Let's move on to the night game, at Optus, the Freo away game at Optus. North Melbourne, they came hard. Freo almost gave it up. And Freo got it done by a goal. So 6-point win to Fremantle. Nat Fyfe late sub on, but Caleb Sarong, I'm going to throw this out there. I think he had literally the perfect game.
Yeah, look, I think when you've got Sarong and Brayshaw, they have two players who have enormous tanks, and they were putting on a lot of pressure defensively as well as offensive with touches, 67 touches between them. But I think when you look at that, they've got 19 tackles as well. And they're at stages there where North were trying to run in and kick a score, and Brayshaw's running in from behind, like tackling players, putting a heap of pressure on. I just think they're two of the better pressure mids in the comp when it comes to their tackling and their running capacity. And in a bit of a slogfest, which turned out to be the game, I think they were really the difference. Obviously, Patrick Voss in the forward line has clearly overtaken Jai Amos as the second banana down in the forward line, and he gives them some energy. Obviously, 3 goals, 2 from 9 kicks. He's he's the barometer down there. When he's up and about, Freo are going quite well. Obviously, Luke Jackson kicked 2 goals as well, so a good game for him too. But it was just a really slogfest, that game. Freo played very, very well early. Jesus Christ, you're on the beer and the wine at the same time. What is going on there?
I just got a delivery. I finished my beer and I'm on the Reds now. The kids aren't here, mate.
Jesus Christ. So you're on the beers and the wine. Well, lucky for you. Look, I think for North, Cam Zerha got absolutely pillaged the whole game. It belted. I think he was groggy, even sore for the whole game. He just got absolutely smashed. I mean, as you said, Fyfe came on 9 handballs in about a quarter and a bit. So that's sort of the way he is going to be used now. As I said, we both agree these games, that sort of suits him. Sub. Yeah, it suits him because obviously he's not speedy, but when he can come in and impact the game, that was great. For North Melbourne, look, frustrating for them. Nick Larkey kicked a few goals, so that was good. But the midfield just got overshadowed. Sheasel racked it up, which is great. He got 32. But David Juniak and Powell, they were just overshadowed by the Fremantle mids. Cherry had a pretty decent game, but Darcy was basically there just to try and nullify his impact. So look, if you're Fremantle, it was a scrappy game. 6 more scoring shots, you win by 6 points. You bank it, you take it. You move on because, North had 12 more inside 50s, so they had the opportunities to win the game, but Fremantle's back line really held up strong.
For sure. Murphy Reid, is he there's not that much noise about him besides, I think, from us really that I'm hearing that I don't think he's going to win the Rising Star, but is he probably forgotten about too much right now? Because 16 touches and a goal for a kid in their first year, and he's been pretty consistent too.
Yeah, look, I don't think so. When we say is he forgotten, I don't think so. I think he's in the market. I'm just trying. The markets are down at the moment, but I think the people up there are obviously Lashcroft, Levi Ashcroft, Archer Roberts. I think it's O'Sullivan from Geelong. And Murphy Reid, I think they're the main ones in the market. Let's see if I can find anything here while you're putting me on the spot here.
As you're doing that,
no, I've got you.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. So we got Levi Ashcroft 220. We got Archer Roberts 5, Murphy Reid 650, Connor O'Sullivan 10, Harvey Langford 10. So it looks like a race in 3. But he's thereabouts, and Levi Ashcroft has had some down weeks recently. Archer Roberts is going, quite good as well. So, it'd be interesting to see how that goes. But, he's in the mix. But I just think, you're right. He stands out with what he does with ball in hand. He doesn't have to get ridiculous amounts of touches, but he's slick, he's clean, he puts himself in the right areas. And I think when they've got a lot of leg speed in that forward line with Switkowski and Frederick, he's the perfect foil for them because he can use his class to put himself in the right spot. Seems like he's got great footy IQ. And it looks like Freo got a massive steal there, and he's going to be a good player for them for a very long time.
And where is Shai Bolton? Where's his best where does he play his best? Is he a midfielder? Is he a high half forward that can run up the ground? Where are you playing Shai Bolton? Because I don't know if he's a midfielder.
Yeah, look, I think he's an impact player. So you basically have to use him where he can have his most impacts. That can change on a game-to-game basis. Sometimes, in that Suns game, put him in the midfield. He got a few clearances, got the ball moving Fremantle's way. But, then you've got other times when you need him in the forward line. And you saw him kick a fantastic goal where he picked it up, stepped two blokes, weaved around a guy and kicked a snag. So you need him where he's going to impact. And when the midfield is flying, I don't think you need him in there. But if the Freo team need a spark, whack him in there. So he's basically, him and Cozzy Pickett are two very similar sort of players where they're in the centre, they're impacting, but they can also kick snags. Obviously, Pickett had a pretty good game again this week, but I would play him more forward and use him as an impact player in the midfield.
Good. Yep. Fair. And I think that's that's how Richmond played him, I think, and that's when he did play his best footy. I'm finding it very funny having these comments because Xavier's just going off. He's just
what's he saying? What's his take on his Fremantle Dockers?
He said flag mantle, yeah, boys. Then he said 4 more points than St Kilda, haha. Then he said have a drink, Brownie. If Saints win a game in the next 2 weeks,
yeah.
Okay.
Well,
so, have to sip each time looks up and down as well. He's reading his stuff, Save. He's got his notes there. Leave him alone.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the first game today, about 1:20, I think it started. The Port beat Melbourne by 25 points at Adelaide Oval, and our boy Mitch Georgiades went absolutely apeshit. 7 goals for Stephen May, sucked in. 1-on-1, couldn't take him, wasn't fast enough. Mitchell took him to task.
The problem was, by the time he'd kicked 3 goals, May wasn't even on him yet. So
there you go.
They
kicked another 4 on him.
They had Disco Turner on him to start the game. And obviously, I was all over this on the podcast. I was really bullish on Port Adelaide winning. And they had a really good game. Horn Francis might have hurt his shoulder, so that's one to look at. Yeah. But Miles Bergman, he's becoming a player for them. I brought him up on the podcast. My players to buy in the fantasy thing are going absolutely mental. My Caleb Sarong got 146. So look, I don't understand if you're Simon Goodwin and you play Nick Dacos and you tag him with Ed Langdon, but you then let Connor Rozee and Butters. They put Viney on Butters. It wasn't a really hard tag, but letting Rozee run around, didn't really sit well with me. Cozzy Pickett kicked 3 goals and kept them in the game. But, it was the Georgiades show, and he had it on an absolute string. Like, he was just dominating. And, I mean, when you look at it, Melbourne had more inside 50, same amount of scoring shots, but one kicked 14-9 and one kicked 9-14. So Melbourne had their chances. They were better in patches, but they just could not get the job done. The lot more ball in hand for the Power, and I still think they're solid enough. Like, Max Gorn was good. Oliver was pretty good. Pickett was good. But apart from that, Melbourne just, their forward line is still a concern for me. Like, Pickett kicked 3, Frisch 2 goals, 3, Van Rooyen 2, Petty 1, Turner 1. Kicking goals for them is going to be a continued problem. I can't see it changing until they, obviously, and Frisch is starting to play better. So, look, for mine, Port still have enough class players to make impact. Aliyah also got hurt as well. So if they're going to be missing Aliyah and Horn Francis, that could be a minor issue for them. But I was pretty impressed with the way that they played. They've got Sydney next week, so you'd think if they're knocking off Melbourne, they can beat Sydney. They're giving themselves a slight hope to push for the finals. They're going to just have to keep winning.
Who would have thought that a few weeks ago, though? Like, they were crap.
Yep. But as I said, I watched the showdown and they were quite good in that game. And obviously, I wasn't willing to pen them completely. But look, they're still a fair way off their best football. But, they've beaten the Giants. They've beat Melbourne. They've sort of got a bit of momentum. Apart from that Freo game where they've got smashed, they haven't been going too bad recently. So, look, they've got a long way to go, but I didn't mind what I saw today from Port.
So I did think the same, because the players that you mentioned here who played, Gorn played well, but then you were like, Oliver did okay. And I was thinking the same thing that Zave's actually commented here, of if they're top players, so if Petrarca, Gorn, let's Chuck Viney in there,
Oliver,
Pickett and Oliver. If they all don't play well, if even a couple of them just are not up to scratch, like as you said, Oliver did okay. Petrarca wasn't really amazing. He got 17 touches.
Petrarca had a bit of attention to him most of the game, but look, you're right. Like it's because they've got a lot of new faces and a lot of younger players. They really have to stand up, and obviously the back line. I mean, Stephen May and Lever are meant to be like two key pillars down there, and they obviously got torched. Georgiades, our guy, put on an absolute clinic. And when you look at the other scorers, Burn Jones 2, Horn Francis, Burgoyne, Bergman, Powell, Pepper, Rioli with singles. There's no other big dog there because they've got all these injuries with Marshall and Lord isn't playing. So, he stood up, the big dog, 10 marks, and, he played fantastic. And he obviously getting good delivery into the forward line. And, they played well. I said, I saw this coming. I thought Melbourne have not been playing consistently. And I think, Port have more potential to move up the ladder than what Melbourne did. And that's how it turned out.
Their percentage is really low. And you kind of mentioned this earlier on that, who comes out of that 8. Can you see them getting in there with that percentage? I mean, the Dogs and Carlton above them. No.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the only thing that's going to hurt them, the percentage?
Dogs' percentage is like 50% better or 43% better. Yep. So they're going to have to continue to win. And they're 2 games out. So they're going to have to win like 3 games to get in.
Yep.
It's going to be tough.
And they're going to have to spank some teams if they want to even get
I don't even think the percentage will matter. They've got to get the extra win because their percentage is too far behind the others.
Yeah, that's true.
Behind Freo, they're still 22%. So they're going to have to continue to win games.
Yeah, fair. Let's go to the last game of the round, Optus Stadium. I think Carlton put the cue in the rack a little bit here. And from what I was hearing on the radio as well, I listened to friend of the podcast, Mark Foreman, as I was on my way home from church, might I add, that Oscar Allen doesn't look good. And
I don't think it's that bad, to be honest.
No? Okay.
No. So,
but is it more of a concern here that no Eagles player has got 30 touches all year, and this kid on debut who they got in the mid-season draft is the first player to get 30 touches?
Yeah, well, to be fair, he probably got about 11 or 12 from kick-ins. So it looks great, but it's not like a thing. But the main thing for me is the Eagles outscored them in the last 3 quarters. So
good.
Carlton obviously got hit with the injury bug. Kerno went down and Hudson O'Keefe went down. So that's their full forward, centre-half forward / backup ruck. Kerno lasted a quarter. O'Keefe lasted 2 and I think 3 quarters.
What's
and obviously calf.
Okay.
So Mackay's got knee soreness, so it's getting really grim for Carlton Talls. But look, the midfield just was on top. Like Harley Reid actually had quite a good game. He got 28 touches. I think that's the most he's ever got in a game. But Hewitt 35, Chera 30. Really played well. Cripps didn't have a massive game by his normal standards, only 21, but Ollie Hollands and Sard using the run and carry behind the ball was really good. Our boy in the bins, he had a really good game as well. For West Coast, I think Tyler Duar had a really good game on the wing. A lot of balls were kicked out to him. I think that's like you look at 24 kicks, 9 marks. So they were using him out wide. Obviously, McCarthy. He's showing something. It looks like he's got a bit of a skill set. He's pretty clean by foot, something that the Eagles need behind the ball. Obviously they sub Jaden Hunt. Guys like that should be playing well before Jaden Hunt, i.e. like play your Clay Halls, play your Bo Allens, play all these kids, get them the opportunity to do something because there was a lot of nothing in that first quarter. And, the Eagles did tough it out. Bailey J, the future of ruckwork, had a really good game. 3 goals, 1. So he was taking some clunks. So he's obviously an upgrade on Archer Reid down there. And if you're the Blues, they just had a makeshift full down. Lockie Fogarty kicked 3 goals in the first 10 minutes. Mitch McGovern got 3. Zach Williams 2. De Koning's in the air, had a really good game. Really dominated the ruck against Flynn. If you're the Blues, you bank it. You move on. If you're Eagles, obviously started horrendously, basically flow on from the game at Hand Stadium last week where they shited the bed in the last quarter. But look, you look at that game, 17 scoring shots to 26. Carlton had like 80 more possessions, 15 more inside 50s. So it could have been a lot bigger pasting.
Yep.
But if their whole forward line is not there, it makes it very, very hard. So bit of a watch on where they come up in the next few weeks because, for the games they've got to come, I believe they've got a 6-day break. Then I've got North at the MCG, so they'd be wanting to win that game as well. But look, Carlton, like they're just not quite there. They're another that are, 2 games out of the 8. Can they get in there? Oh, gee. I personally think Port are going better than the Blues, but they're on the same amount of wins as the Bombers and Port Adelaide. So if Bulldogs are the team that can jump in my opinion. I don't think anyone else can. But
so who's going out? I'm more intrigued by that. Who's going out of that?
Yeah, look, Giants for mine are still in risky. Giants and Freo obviously in risky territory there because obviously they're the ones that are 7th and 8th. So I'm no Einstein there saying that, but it's just their consistency. So when you look at the other teams above, Pies, Cats, Lions, Crows, Hawks, all seem to be just a little bit ahead of those bottom 3, which are Suns, Giants, and Freo. Suns have got 2 games in hand over the Giants and 1 game in hand against Freo. So that game against Essendon, which will come in the bye, will be very, very crucial come the back end. But I just think, Giants are probably the most likely to go out. Freo next because the inconsistencies in their form. But when you look like next week, Giants have got the Suns and Freo have the Bombers on a Thursday night. So you'd like to think that would be a pretty substantial win for Fremantle on form. And then obviously the week after, Giants have their bye and Fremantle have St Kilda. So we might be doing out of bounds on the Sunday again at the Campfield on Sunday that day with you and your children's tickets.
Yep. I do actually have tickets. I've got tickets for that game, and I've got a spare ticket, so we will go to that game. Yes.
Okay, excellent. And you can have a glass of red out of a paper cup.
I will, but also round 16 through to 19, it's kids go free, so it would have been a free ticket anyway. So, thank you AFL. But you're right. If you look at what's coming, the Dogs have Richmond, Sydney, North. They're the next 3.
That should be 3 wins.
Yep. Freo have Bombers, Saints, Sydney.
You'd think that'd be 3 wins as well.
GWS have Gold Coast, West Coast, Geelong.
So that could be 1, maybe 2 for them.
Yeah. And then if you look at the extended one as well, then they could win the next 2 after that. But yeah, it's just going to be really interesting to see who can drop out, who can go in. It's really like I'm going to throw this out there because I heard this on the radio as well today. Adelaide, like, are they 4th? Like, well, they are 4th, but you know what I mean? Like, are they a team that should be sitting 4th right now, or can they drop out? Like, well, look, it's so close up there.
Probably should have beaten Collingwood, should have beaten Hawthorn, but you're right. Their form against top 8 sides is not fantastic. It's not. So, look, you're right, but they do have a pretty good draw. So, from where they finished last year, so that will help them. But look, they should be playing finals. They're good enough to be playing finals. They just needed a bit more out of the likes of Rankin and Rochelle to when they're playing well and they're up and firing, they're getting a lot out of it. That's sort of, with Sam Berry in the side, Rankin's sort of not playing as much mid-time now, so maybe they're going to save him for later in the year. I'm not too sure. But look, I think Crows will be fine. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. They need to improve against the top sides in the comp.
Well, let's move on to the winners and losers. Tell me who are your winners, who are your losers for round 14?
Yeah, so obviously winners, Giants, massive win away from home. Like that's just a fantastic performance by them to get that job done. I think Hawks was a winner. Like that was sort of an 8-point game. So if we lost that game, we would have been on as I said last week, the precipice of going out of the. We would have been like down in 7th or 8th position. So that was a huge win for us. And I think, Port Adelaide is another one to keep their season alive. That was a massive, massive win for them. They're the 3 that really stand out Obviously, the teams that should have won. So obviously you would have thought Dogs would have knocked off the Saints. You would have thought the Cats would have knocked off Essendon. You would have thought the Blues would have knocked off Eagles. So I think, those other games were where they needed to go. And just, the Port Hawks and Giants were the winners for me this week. Pretty self-explanatory.
I'm with you on all of those, and I'm going to chuck in North there as well. I know they lost, but I like that they fought back. When Freo put 4 goals on them in about 2 minutes, I thought this game is done. And I'm going to give credit to North there and say I sat there and watched that game, and I credit to them. They fought back, and I see a future for them that looks very, very bright. So them, and also another winner for me, the South Australian.
Smoked us
under 18s.
What was it, 74 points or something?
Yeah, they smashed WA, and they got some good players. Your losers, who are your losers?
Sort of. I think the biggest losers, obviously, Melbourne, massive loser. Like that really makes it tough for them with their momentum. They're 20. They're now 3 games and percentage outside the 8. Their season looks pretty grim. Look, Saints were terrible. That was a home game, and they got obliterated. That was not good viewing, not good for Scott Brown, not good that our Wildcats now have the same colours as St Kilda. Not great. And I think, look, if we're being all honest, Essendon, even though they've got no players, you can't be giving up 151 points. That's not good. I understand you've got no key backs. I understand you've got you've got a makeshift forward line, but it's crazy that they're above, as I said, Swans, Saints, Melbourne on the ladder. They're equal with Port and Carlton, and that is what they're dishing up. So bit of a loss for them.
For me, it's simple, and it's the Saints. We got done by 72 points to a team that's not even in the 8. That sums it up. Like you can say Geelong, Essendon, but Geelong is second on the ladder. Essendon at 12. And I'm not saying it's expected to lose by that much, but the Saints are not in the 8, and we got absolutely smoked by a team. And I think they were 10th at the time, and now they're 9th. So I think that makes them the biggest loser of the round. Before we go, question from Zave, and I actually have this question for you, which I was going to throw to you on Thursday, but I may as well throw you out now because he's asked, is Bailey Smith going to win the Brownlow this year because he's flying? Jordan Dawson's right there, but Bailey Smith, is it his to lose almost?
No. Look, there's a few players that are playing some good footy, like Nick Dacos will be there. Jordan Dawson obviously is going good as well. And Bailey Smith is there. Like when you're looking at votes, I think Noah Anderson will poll well so far for Suns. I think Caleb Sarong will poll well for Fremantle. I think Hugh McCluggage will poll well for Brisbane. But if Smith keeps dishing up 40 touches a week, he's going to be hard not to see. But I think the problem he will have is there will be a lot of players to share votes with. If Dashbro Holmes is racking it up and Cameron's kicking bags, he's going to have a lot more people to take votes off. Whereas your likes of Dawson, he doesn't have to. Rankin might get a few off him. And Dacos has got a cast of thousands to take him off him. So it might work against them. But look, his favourite, he's $3. Dawson $3.75. Dacos $4.50. So they're the 3 that are well clear of sort of everyone else at the moment. So he's definitely right up there, and it'll be some sort of comeback to come off a Rico, change clubs, and win a Brownlow, and then he can go have some nose beers.
He definitely will, and then maybe another meeting with the big
Andrew
boss
Dillon.
What a joke. That's us done.
Any more from Austin or Zave before we go?
I'm sure Zave's probably got something. Let's have a look. All he said was Saints are poo, Saints are poo poo, and then he said, Skull 2 bottles for that now. I was like, okay. So I'll go do that, Zave. No worries. Thanks for being here for us, Zave. But we'll be back on Thursday. Regular pod. So make sure you join in for that.
Yeah. And, if you've got any takes on anything, send it through to us, because we basically have been talking about a lot of the same stuff recently, and I need to just stop talking about Mark Arena and the Wildcats because it's doing my absolute head in. It's making me in the fetal position. It's doing me in.
And give us pyramid tips because we're losing.
Yeah,
we need
please.
Oh, before we go, Zave said, "Good lads." Thanks, Zave.
All right. Thanks,
see you later,
Zave.
people.